Now, sticking with the dollar, the gains that we've seen this month are being monitored by blue chips with big overseas exposure. Many analysts, however, not yet raising any red flags. And John Ehrlichman is back with more on that story.
And I figured we could talk about the dollar index, which, of course, is the dollar versus a basket of currencies. And it is up about 2%, close to 2% this month. And certainly, if you're thinking about how this affects equity plays, I was talking to Craig Peckham at Jefferies & Company, and his perspective is you do have to look at those companies with big overseas exposure. We look within the Dow Jones Industrial Average for companies with at least 2/3 of their revenue coming from overseas. You'll find names like Caterpillar or McDonald's on that list. And Scarlett, McDonald's is a good example because it was a company that came out with their most recent sales numbers yesterday, talked about the concerns of a rising dollar. However, at the same time, if you do look at that so-called DXY so far this year, you can see that as we've moved into the second quarter, we have seen weakness, even though at the tail end of that chart we've been rising, still down about 5.5% in the second quarter. And actually yesterday, Bank of America raised its estimates for McDonald's in terms of earnings for the full year because of the currency effect as well.
So it goes both ways.
It goes both ways. And something else we should point out is sometimes you see technology companies and their revenue around the world. One thing that Joanne Feeney of FTN points out, for example, if you look at a company like Intel, that most of the product manufacturing is coming outside of the U.S., but this is largely a U.S. dollar business. So even though they're making products largely in other parts of the world, they're selling those products largely in markets like the United States. That can be actually deceiving, for example, if you just look at the revenue breakdown in terms of where things are being manufactured.
And of course, their benchmark products are priced in U.S. dollars as well.
That's the key. Absolutely.
Okay. John Ehrlichman, he'll be back with a little bit more on some other issues.